you got a lot of quarterbacks that are transferring into the SEC, and this will affect how the SEC shakes out in 2024 and perhaps 2025. So I want to dig into that because Tennessee's in a very fortunate situation where they're not relying on a quarterback, which is scary. I mean, we saw Notre Dame have to go with a Sam Hartman route, and I thought he played okay this year, but it's not like he stepped in and he was the second coming of John Elway. On the flip side, we've seen Caleb Williams transfer from Oklahoma to Southern California, and that worked, but partially because he had his coach there that went with him too. So I think that's really scary to depend on a quarterback that's going to transfer into the SEC, but it's also scary for the opponents because the opponents are going to have to face a quarterback that they are not as equipped to play because they just haven't prepared nearly as much. So let's get into that list of quarterbacks that could hit the SEC and possibly hit the SEC with a ground running. And it's brought to you by Campbell, Cunningham, Taylor, and Hahn. Enjoy life better when you see better. Local vision service for LASIK, cataract surgery, and regular eye examination. ccteyes.com. ccteyes.com. Look at me. No contacts, no glasses. It's pretty awesome. Campbell, Cunningham, Taylor, and Hahn. So, Caleb, who are some quarterbacks we need to be aware of? I know it looks like Arkansas is taking in, was it Talon Green? He's going to Arkansas.
So just a couple breaking news things before we go to the list. Well, not breaking, but news that we have to get out of the way. Boise State quarterback Talon Green has transferred to Arkansas. The big story to me is that Dillon Gabriel transferred from Oklahoma to Oregon. I did not see that one coming. But just because I thought Oklahoma was going to be in the race. But yes, those are the two major ones. That have
give Dillon Gabriel's background again. Doesn't he seem like a guy who just likes to travel?
I mean, he's gone from Florida to Oklahoma to Oregon. That is like covering the country, isn't it?
Yeah. So I thought that was super weird that he went to Oregon, but I think that makes Oklahoma not nearly as good, and they are now an SEC team as we talk about it moving forward.
And when we talk about transfers that are red flags, that's a red flag for Brent Venables. That is a type of transfer that is a red flag.
Totally agree. That's one that you cannot argue. I don't care if you're the most ardent Oklahoma supporter that they ask him to leave. I don't care what you say. You would not, even if you had a Nico top quarterback or an Arch top quarterback, an Arch Manning top quarterback on the roster, you would still say, I don't know that he's going to be ready in 2024. So you need to hang out here. I would have said the same thing to KJ Jefferson at Arkansas, but we can debate that. But you would have told him that and say, you're good for 2024. What are you even worried about? So don't tell me that they pushed him out the door because I don't believe it. Who else do we need to be aware of?
All right, so here are the transfers that are out there. Cam Ward transferring from Washington State and DJ Uiagalelei transferring from Oregon State. Now, you would say Uiagalelei likes to transfer a lot, but Oregon State is not going to be Power 5 next year. Those are two Power 5 caliber quarterbacks. This is a sad result of what's happened with realignment because Washington State and Oregon State are left out in the cold. So both of those are out. ESPN is reporting that Tom Luganbill of ESPN says the best fit for Cam Ward is Ohio State, which, as you remember, Kyle McCord has entered the transfer portal, and he wasn't a good fit for Ohio State either. Oh, man, if Cam Ward were there this past year, they might have actually won the national title and fulfilled my prediction.
Yeah, but Luganbill's also just predicting, right? I mean, he's not a
yes,
reporter.
But he's not. Yes, he's predicting, but he's not wrong. That is by far the best fit for Cam Ward. And so now Ryan Day may not be smart enough to know that because he thought Kyle McCord was a good fit for him this year. And again, Ohio State should fire Ryan Day, but they're not going to listen to me. But Cam Ward is a perfect fit. Then there's Riley Leonard, who's transferring from Duke. I have a feeling he's just going to go to Texas A&M, don't you? Mike Elko's there. He's probably going to Texas A&M.
Yeah, would make a lot of sense. So I don't think that would be. I mean, it helps A&M. A&M to me is the scary team if you're in the SEC next year because I do think they have talent, and I haven't checked their transfer portal in the past day or so. But if they're able to hold on to that talent, then that's a situation. Can I give you a really weird comparison? And I don't want to be the all Cowboys guy all the time. When Barry Switzer stepped in 1994 for Jimmy Johnson because they couldn't get along, Barry Switzer stumbled his way to a Super Bowl. He was eating a hot dog on the sideline during one game and still won a Super Bowl. Now, Deion Sanders helped, and I don't think they win it without him. But that team was so loaded. Their second stringers from 92 won a Super Bowl for Barry Switzer in 95. So I think you worry that A&M could be like that they have that many guys that have coached properly and not resentful of the amount of money, the NIL money that went to the freshman class 2 years ago, that I think that you could be special there in year one, because I really like Elko as well. Portions of the program brought to you by Don Self. Customer service still matters. State Farm agent Don Self and his team take customer service very seriously. For well over 40 years, they built their business and reputation on taking care of their customers. They are your State Farm agent for the greater Chattanooga area. Call 423-396-2126 or go to donself.net, donself.net. It's right down below. I know a lot of people are price shopping. What happens when you turn in that claim? Make sure that you're well covered. Don Self, your State Farm agent in the greater Chattanooga area. So I don't know that any quarterback transferring out of the SEC makes major headline news other than KJ Jefferson. I want to get back to Uiagalelei for a moment. I think he is very Joe Milton-esque. I think he's stiff. I don't think he processes incredibly quick. I think he gets the ball out slowly because of a very labored sort of release. I think he could make a lot. I mean, any quarterback that we've mentioned makes Vanderbilt better, right? But does he make a contender better? I think the contenders are in pretty good shape.
Kind of depends on the system. You are right about Uiagalelei, but Uiagalelei and Milton, they are the type of quarterbacks that actually can work in certain college systems. Milton's problem was he never was a fit for Josh Heupel's system at all. Like, that was just not a good match ever. But there are some offenses that Milton probably could have worked out in. Look, I'll just say it. Before people figured him out, the offense Gus Malzahn used to run could have been friendly to Milton, quite honestly. Using a quarterback's legs a lot more. He wouldn't have been Cam Newton. I'm not saying that, but he maybe could have been Nick Marshall. I could see that with Uiagalelei. You may disagree, but
I think you're being very nice. Everybody likes to accuse me of just ripping Joe Milton for the sake of ripping Joe Milton. I just think when you have accuracy issues, processing issues, and you get the ball and your delivery's slow as well, I just think you're going to have intrinsic issues like a sports car without a steering wheel. I just don't think it's going to work.
You know what offense you could run? Nobody runs it anymore. The triple option. That's a perfect offense for those quarterbacks.
He doesn't want to run the football.
I know, but think about it. You have to be willing to get hit. He's big, so he could get hit, and you just got to have a big arm.
All right. So if they do a lobotomy on him and take out the portion of his brain that doesn't want to run, and they put him in a triple option, which is no longer run in college football, then he would be an All-American.
He'd be great. Yes. So Uiagalelei, by the way, it's funny that you compared them, because Uiagalelei, a lot of people are thinking that Florida might be his next option. Florida State's up there too, but he might go to either of those schools. And so what you're saying is Tennessee should hope Uiagalelei goes to Florida.
Oh, yeah.
The other one, a couple others, the one transferring out of the SEC, since you asked that, is Will Rogers, who's transferred out of Mississippi State. I don't know what's in store for Mississippi State. Jeff Levy is there. I believe he brought his quarterback, didn't he? Yes. I could be wrong on that. So I think that's going to I don't think that's a big deal. Just running through a few others. Dante Moore, very telling. He's the one who transferred, who said he wants to develop basically a direct shot at Chip Kelly. He can end up at one of the Florida schools or Michigan. Will Howard out of Kansas State. People are thinking USC. Grayson McCall from Coastal Carolina. Now, here's a quarterback at a smaller level, Dave, that could be a star at the right system in Power 5 football. Grayson McCall from Coastal Carolina. He was under Jamie Chadwell for a while. Chadwell just went undefeated at Liberty with Kadon Salter. So watch out for him. And then just running through MJ Morris, transferring from NC State. And Tyler Van Dyke, transferring from Miami, decides I need a coach who is not as stupid as Mario Cristobal to play for.
I tell you what, somebody's going to get a surprise little jewel with Will Rogers. I like Will Rogers. I mean, if Tennessee has Will Rogers last year instead of Joe Milton,
They're still 8-4. Who are
they're
they
winning
beating?
at least one more game, maybe two.
No, they're not. They're still 8-4. They weren't even in these games.
I still think they could have beaten Alabama and Tuscaloosa if they convert on those red zone. But you and I disagreed about that yesterday.
Revisiting that again. They're not beating Alabama and Tuscaloosa.
Ukulele should join a bluegrass band. That would be fantastic.
Kentucky could be calling.
There you go. I just don't. I don't know why everybody thinks that Will Rogers is just okay. I think part of that is because he was in a limited system, because Mike Leach's system, God rest his soul, was not incredibly complicated. It was just let's throw the ball around a lot.